What's going on? It's your man Kahleagues. Welcome to the Status Escalate podcast, the music business show where every other week I speak with a successful artist or entrepreneur to touch on the routines and experiences that led to their success. In turn, providing ideas and advice for your own career. For this episode, I'm talking with my man, 60 East. He's a man of many hats as well, from booking agent, public relations to international touring artist, and much more. 60's on tour in Europe at the moment, but I caught up with him before he left to talk about a few things that keep him on course and motivated for success. As always, before we get into it, I want to thank everybody who's left comments, ratings, and reviews for the show, and everyone sharing and spreading the word. If you like what I'm doing here with the Status Escalate podcast, commenting and leaving that 5-star rating is a huge help. That'll lead to more great guests and great shows, so I appreciate your support and aloha. And now, here's my talk with 60 East.
I put in work and watch my status escalate.
What's good? My name is 60 East. I'm an independent artist, songwriter, poet, screenwriter, book writer, all-around hustler. I dabble in PR work a little. I started getting into the publicist game. I basically done everything, being an independent artist. I've had to cover, all aspects of basically running a label. So I've done everything from merchandising to touring to branding to booking agent, manager, everything.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of, for quite a long time. You're somebody who I seen right away was a utility player. I think that's dope because we're in a game where we can get favors done for us quite often, but favors quickly turn to burdens. A lot of times people feel because they're doing something for you, they could take 3 or 4 years, even though they agreed. You express how important it is to get it done by this day. They say, yes, I can meet this deadline. And and then in the end, if they do get it done, it took them like a day to do it, even though, you gave them a good 3 months to reach the deadline. So that's a reason why I like to think I'm at least decent at everything that I as an artist need, and I seen that in you early on. And then like the music is dope, but the music is something that's, everybody's got their opinion on the art, all these other things, the professional approach to promoting your music or just the other things in relation to it, always having kind of like a foot in the music pool. That's something that not a lot of people have, man. How do you feel like you got into that side of things? Was it like for me, it was necessity. I just had to do these things because if I rely on somebody, I find out quickly that I shouldn't have relied on them. They ain't coming through.
I feel you, man. I think, looking back subconsciously coming up, my brother was a producer, DJ, and he actually ran a label when I was still like in junior high school. So I looked at him and he was doing everything. He was printing. It was a whole different game back then, like in the mid 2000s. He was printing flyers, printing mixtapes. We were street teaming, selling mixtapes. But, at the crib, I would see him doing all the business stuff, like, him doing everything, just being a teenager. He's only 3 years older than me. And I think that kind of stuck in my brain. And then, I started being an artist and all that and just kind of being like, your typical rapper that just, smokes weed and raps and, does that. And then up until the point I met, one of my mentors, my brother Tim, who runs First Dirt, I noticed he had the business mind, and I think he was kind of more of a business mind than an artist at one point, and then he kind of started being more both sided. But he was probably like the first artist that I seen that was really about his business, and Tim's way older than me, so I started really looking up to this dude and basically applying the business side of things. I had always realized that I needed a manager because I couldn't do the business side of stuff until I met Tim, and I realized, what, I can do both of these things. I just got to play both sides of the field.
Yeah, I feel you. But it's better like that too. I mean, would you consider yourself a bit of a control freak in any way?
Oh, yeah. I think early on it was easy for me to just pass on everything because I just wanted to be the rapper, just wanted to be the artist and just focus on the music. But now, that after so many years of being hands-on with everything, like now I need to be involved with every aspect of everything because I don't want to be misrepresented.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard path to walk. But at the same time, there's nothing like, I prefer to be the one to fail. And having somebody else fail while representing you or while attempting something that you feel you could have did yourself. It's just like it's really hard, man. If but with the same point, when you could finally find somebody to, whether it's a manager, an agent, whatever, representative, somebody to take over for you and do the things more or less how you would do them, man, it's such a blessing. And
yes,
it's hard to find
indeed.
that balance of being, because you don't want to lose the control freak thing. You just want to kind of keep it under wraps and let that be like the supervisor of what, what's going on and whatnot. I feel that. That's definitely my thing. Like being that control freak, always being the business guy in like whatever group I've been a part of. And nowadays I'm getting to the point, we're pretty deep into the game, and now I'm connecting with other generals in their groups, and we're able to work together and figure out, oh, you're better at this, I'm better at this, you're better at that. So let that be the focus. We'll still talk about it so that, because we could probably still add to each other and help and things like that. But I think that's a thing that we're both blessed to have. And a lot of other people, either they ain't learned it yet or they just can't do it, man. But I think that's why you're where you're at so far, man.
Yeah, likewise, brother. I notice all the artists that are, where they are because either they have someone doing that for them or they've understood that they need to do it themselves. And that's why they've gotten, further than the rest. And I definitely see that in myself. Like, looking at the artists that I was coming up with, the people that they never got their business shit straight are still doing the same thing that I was doing 5 years ago. They never caught that growth.
People still stuck on the hamster wheel for sure, man. So you got even more hooks in the water, man, with the podcast, also Platform Collection Podcast, A Life on the Road. How did you get like introduced into the podcasting world and then eventually making your way into becoming a host of your own show and things like that?
I always listen to podcasts. Like I always, the last podcast before I started doing it that I really got into was Rude Jude. And I love Rude Jude, man. His dude is hilarious. And I love that, the All Out show on Shade 45, that, they would bring in not only hip hop artists, but they would bring in, all kinds of book writers, porn stars, whatever, it was entertainment. But at the root of it, they were still promoting hip hop. Right. And, I always loved that. So as I started, getting more interviewed and meeting people like Chris at Platform Collection and a bunch of other people with podcasts, I believe one of them had thrown the idea at me. They were like, yo, you'd be a good host, man. You ever thought about doing a show? And I had never really thought about it until, someone planted that seed in my mind. Right. And I started thinking about it. And then, after reading a book, it kind of opened my eyes to a whole new world and, kind of how I looked at everything. So I was like, you know what? I want to capture all these things. And, sometimes I can't capture experiences through my music as much as I try to share all my experiences through my music. Sometimes it's easier to just talk about them and, talking about them with other people that are on similar paths just kind of made sense to me. So that's why, like, at the beginning, it kind of took me a while to find my niche. But once I did, it's like, okay, now I know what I'm meant to do with this.
Yeah, I mean, I also dig, and maybe it'll be different. I mean, just like everything changes generationally, I like following somebody from the beginning and seeing the growth. Whether they go in like very new and just like willing to get better and over, willing to do bad or fail or whatever to get better, or they're coming in like, wow, this person is polished. They clearly know what they're doing, but then you still see a growth, or you see the changes, however you want. So I love that part of the art whether it's, following a musician or, like in our case, podcasting, man. And I think that's dope. I also think it's a good thing, having a guest is just like building on the things that you're already trying to say and having different perspectives and then being able to give shine, being able to receive shine as well. You kind of become some like sought after or whatnot. So I think it's definitely cool. I also think C-Ray was probably the one who got you to, or at least one of the people who told you should do a podcast. I swear that fool's told like 1,000 people that they should have their own podcast. But, yeah, man, like besides that, I mean, you're about to go to Europe on a tour, but this is how many tours have you planned so far? Have you kind of been a part of like a big contributor to the amount of dates or press and all those things? How many would you say?
In Europe or overall?
Just overall.
Oh, man. Shit, easily 20.
Nice.
From week long tours to month long tours to 3 month long tours. You know what I mean?
How did it kind of start, and like some of the general approach to booking shows, from like contacting venues, contacting promoters, maybe trading shows with artists, and then actually lining them up in a way, compared to now, and like maybe where you kind of started finding your bearings and be like, oh, okay, well, it's better to book it in this sequence because whatever you're kind of learning, right? And then where you are now, like, could you go through some of those things and some of the things that you've learned, and looking at this most recent tour you're about to embark on compared to like some of the early ones, and be like, man, if I knew what I knew now back then.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think a lot of that started when I signed to First Dirt, being that was a label based out of Sacramento, and I was a Southern California, Inland Empire based artist. Right from the jump, I started doing shows in Sacramento where people like that I was coming up with in the IE were like, what the fuck? Like, how are you going up there? Like, people ain't even doing shows in LA or San Diego. And like, just from the jump, I started being able to break that barrier of Southern and Northern California because of the label. And, months starting into that, I was just going back and forth, only doing shows in, Southern and Northern California. And we started building from there. We had added another member to the group from San Francisco. So we would just do these little backyard tours that we would call them, because we would just be touring in our own backyard. So like, I would throw a show in the IE, Tim would throw a show in Sacramento, and our other boy would throw a show in Frisco. And we were all breaking into each other's markets. Mm-hmm. And we were able to build a lot of momentum doing that. And then slowly but surely, we were able to start adding in Bakersfield, adding in Fresno, adding in Modesto, adding in all these cities in between. Yeah. So then everything kind of started making sense. And along with that momentum, the growth of an artist starts going too, because I remember, being brand new, no videos out, no albums out, and hitting up promoters like, yo, book me. I remember doing that and thinking like, oh, I need to perform, I need to tour, I need to do this. But now realizing I don't even have, a foundation behind that of a track record or anything. I was just a hungry artist, fiending for the stage, because that's what we do. And after doing, those backyard tours, California tours, we started, breaking into Arizona, breaking in Nevada. And then, we just got the idea in 2012 to just go on a nationwide tour. We're like, you know what? We're just going to do it. We've been able to do, the West Coast, the Southern West region and all that. Why not try and do the whole country? So, after really working on that, we were able to book like a whole month-long tour across the United States. And, we weren't making a lot of money. We were basically just backpacking the whole way. And, after we were able to do that, we just seen the potential. And now, we opened up the door to all these new markets. So now, when there would be a festival like in a certain state, they'd be like, oh, let's book these guys. Or, we were just able to break into more markets. And we just built off that momentum again. And we used that same formula that we used in the United States and applied it to Europe. And that's gotten us to where we are today.
Yeah, I think there's so many cats out here that come up with an opportunity, or a lot of times like what I see, kind of like similar to the problem with the pay to play, where you open up for a big name, but you weren't ready, in a sense like let's say I could build a house really well. That's like me rapping dope and me being able to hustle and do shows, but I don't know how to lay the foundation. That's all the learning. That's all the building with cats by doing shows here and there. That's having the proof or the EPK or the resume of doing all these shows, to where you go to a new place and you're like, look, I'm established. I've done these things. Now I'm new to your region. Is this something you want? All those things are the, in my opinion, the things that kind of keep you strong and help you to sustain. Because a lot of times I could do like, people don't realize how easy sometimes it is to do shows or a tour, but it's not just about booking a bunch of shows. It's about everything else about it. You know what I mean? It's about like building that foundation and really getting it right and understanding the land, because you could build a great house, but if the foundation's bad, that house is going to sink into the dirt. You know what I mean? And I think,
oh yeah, there's so many, no, not to cut you off, man. There's so many aspects that go into the touring. And if you want to continue to be a successful touring artist, there's so many things that you got to apply continuously. And, you know, going back to this region within 6 months, or all these people are going to forget about you. Following up with them on your email list, you know, following up with them on Facebook, all these things, you know, like that's why I started digging deeper into that on my podcast to help out these artists that I see touring and not getting anything out of it, because I was doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had this weird philosophy the other day that I don't feel like I was ready to tour until now. But it's funny because I don't think I would have gotten to where I am if I didn't do all that touring that I did prior to now, you know? So it's kind of like you got to do it. You really just have to get out there and open all those doors.
Yeah, you know, I'll use this as an analogy for what you just said. When I first got my first job, I was like 18, right out of high school. I was like, I'm not going to be here long, so why do a 401k? You know, 401k, for anybody who is an adult and doesn't know, get your shit together. But secondly, 401k for the most part, it's like mutual funds. You know, you invest some money, a percentage out of your check, and a decent business will actually contribute to that as well. They'll like match you up to a certain percent. Anyways, I was like, fuck that. I'm not gonna be here long, so why even do it? I was there for like 2-3 years. And I didn't start putting in my 401k until like my last 6 to 8 months. So when I came out, I had hella money because they matched me. I put the maximum amount and they matched me, right? So I could have had so much more money had I been doing that from the beginning. And my point is, like, don't wait until all the until all the traffic lights are green before you hit that gas. Like, you got to just go. You can't wait until you're quote unquote ready, because there's not necessarily any such thing as ready. You know what I mean? Like, you got to kind of just go and learn, but you keep that bigger picture in mind until you get all those puzzle pieces together, you know? And I agree with you 100%, man, because if you didn't do it, you could possibly have ended up like these dudes who get, you know, they get hooked up with a bigger name artist or great opportunities. But if they haven't learned the ropes or learned how to build that foundation, someone taking you there and you're being an amazing rapper or whatever, that could only take you so far if you don't learn the rest of the shit, because eventually people are going to be tired of carrying you. Chances are they're only doing it for their own benefit anyway. So I think that's a lot of these a lot of the newer rappers are the ones been around for a few years. I think that's something that a lot of them need to learn, man. They ain't going out there and experiencing things on their own. But on the flip side, you got these cats who are like, don't even think about it like that. They're just like, no, I'm just doing shows. I'm doing shows, and the next thing is to do touring, then tour further, then leave the country, then leave the continent. You know what I mean? And I commend that thought process, man. I think that's where they need to go.
On top of that too, on top of learning everything you learn on the road and all that, you know, you become a better performer. You know, there's not one situation you can throw me that I have not been through already. You know what I mean? From everything from the fucking DJ running off to the system falling, you know, breaking, whatever, to the mics going out, to the mics getting tangled, to anything. You know, I've been through it all. There's not a situation you can throw me that I can't wrap my way out of. You know what I mean?
You know, there's definitely something about a promoter who, usually an artist / promoter, who's just like, he seems too good to be true, and then once the show is a go, all of a sudden it's like they're a totally different person, and not in a good way. And you're just like, hello, where you at? Like, oh, I get it. You wanted to book this show so you could look like a cool guy. But as far as the production side of things, you don't want to handle things. Okay, I get it. You know, so I also say this. I've always had that very much ask permission, you know, be courteous and things like that. And you still got to do that. But if it comes between ask for forgiveness or ask for permission, I think you might want to be that guy to just go ahead and do it, man. Think it through, but go ahead and do it. And if it turns out bad, ask for forgiveness, because if you keep standing on that sidelines waiting for your turn, a lot of times they ain't even paying attention to you, you know? So I'll say that for sure. Yeah. And those bad things ain't going to stop happening either. I've had homies who they've done shows for like 2 years, a lot of shows, and they're like, oh man, they tell me a bad situation, and it's bad, but it ain't nothing that you and I have been through it a million times, and these fools think that it's the worst thing ever. And they're like, man, that ain't never gonna happen again. I'm like, brother, that's gonna happen 1,000 times. 1,000
Yeah,
times.
you think even the bigger shows that you do,
Oh
nothing's gonna
God.
go wrong. Nah, I mean it's gonna go wrong, and
Yeah.
no matter how big of an artist you are, I've seen Wu-Tang headlining a festival, performing, and their mics go out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
no matter at what level, technical shit is gonna happen that's
Yeah.
out of your control.
Yeah, yeah. So I hear you on that. I totally agree. You gotta just you don't turn into that deer in the headlights. You gotta do something. Doing so just don't stay idle, don't wait. You gotta do something, man, for sure. Man, so
Man, you know what? To just give an example, one of my most recent shows was I got invited back to perform at the A3C festival, and I wasn't at the main grounds, but I was at one of the. It was not the biggest sideshow. I was with the rapper Big Pooh, Razcast, Planet Asia, a bunch of people.
yeah,
And I was right before Razcast or somebody. Place is sold out. The place is completely sold out, and there had been some drama going on. You know what I mean? Like I was supposed to go on earlier in the night, but the DJ didn't have my music or whatever, so I had to wait for the next DJ to get there, and then I was supposed to go up, and then just a bunch of things just kept happening. Like the promoter was just on some, like on some unorganized shit going on, and my vibe just got thrown off, man.
of
Like
course.
I've done tons of performances that are smooth, but like once I got on that stage, like I just felt my energy wasn't there, and I felt that the crowd caught that. And
Yeah,
even though I didn't mess up nothing, it was just my energy wasn't there, and I felt bad because it was like, man, this is a festival performance, a sold out show, and
big
like
deal.
I just didn't give that energy, and it dawned upon me that like that energy is everything. So
Mm,
I don't even look at my phone before I go on stage now because that one text message from whoever can just fuck up your whole vibe and fuck up your whole performance.
yeah.
And energy is everything again.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. And anybody who's listening, I know you got what episode? You got 2 episodes where you basically talk about before the A3C and after the A3C. Very entertaining to hear. If you don't know what A3C is, it's a huge festival, October time in Atlanta. It's one of those hip hop things that you definitely want to experience and possibly be a part of. But on your episodes, you definitely spit the truth on a lot of them. So I would urge people to to check out the Life on the Road with 60 episodes where he speaks on that. Hip Hop Kemp though, how did A3C or how did all these festivals that you've done or just big events in general compare to your hip hop camp experience?
Damn. Let's see. On different levels, like comparing festivals and overall shows, it all gets complicated because a lot of things are good, a lot of things are bad. But I
Yeah,
mean, comparing, I think the only thing that would compare to hip hop camp would be my performing at Pay Dues,
yeah,
and I would say that the program, like as far as the production and everything, at Pay Dues is a lot more organized as far as host set times and mics and all that. And I would say that the creativity that goes into the festival of hip hop camp is like beyond anything any festival I've been to. I mean, I'd even say like more so than Coachella and everything because the attention to detail, like walking around the festival grounds. Like, say you go to a bar, MGK was performing. So you go to a bar and there's like a painting of MGK on the side of the bar and one of his quotes about drinking. And then you go to like another bar and it's another artist with another quote about drinking. Just
mm,
little things like that, like
yeah,
the attention to detail, creativity. And another thing, like at hip hop camp, they had a arcade, they had a beer pong tent, they had human foosball, they had like a 2-story water slide. They had like it was literally just like crazy things I've never seen like at a hip hop festival before. So that really opened my eyes. Another thing at hip hop camp was the artist rooms were kind of small. If you were like one of the big headliners, there was only like 6. They got their own room,
mm,
but for the most part, all the other headliners were in one room. And we were all just kicking it. I was meeting like the headliners from London, the headliners from the Netherlands, and people like that. So that was a whole different experience. Um, Another thing just about Europe is just how they embrace American culture and American hip hop because it took me going to Europe to realize that, we started this shit. Americans started hip hop, and people learned about hip hop from us. So once they, like the founders or whatever, go to the foreign land, they're kind of looking at us for advice, like, oh, is this hip hop or is that hip hop?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're
Almost
kind of like,
approval, right?
yeah, we're from like the breeding ground. So the final night of hip hop camp, it was who was the headliners? I think Planet Asia and Onyx were closing out the sideshow. So it was like Redman and EPMD were on the main stage, and then everybody goes to a bunker because they have like an outdoor curfew or whatever. So everyone goes to this bunker, and they shut down the backstage. Like, they don't let none of the other artists. They don't let nobody except like the people from hip hop camp and like the people performing, right? So I happened to be friends with the homie Afro. Afro happened to be performing right before Planet Asia. So I was backstage with Afro, and like the people come in, like the security comes in and tries clearing all the press out, everybody out. And they're like, okay, so the only people that are going to be backstage right now are Afro, DJ Green, me, and then my DJ and the homie Wacko. So we were the only people back there. And then as Afro's performing, EPMD and Redman, that whole stage closes or whatever. So all those people, like all the American artists that are still at the festival, they all rush to the bunker because they want to catch Afro set. Right. And then Planet Asia set and Onyx's set, Yeah. So right after Afro performs, we go back to the backstage, we start smoking, whatever, chilling. Planet Asia comes in, we chop it up, and then he goes on stage, and then all of us go out to watch him. And then it's just like I'm looking around, and it's literally just all the American artists, and all these European fans are just looking at us like, damn, like, like, that's damn, that's the damn, that's what we came for. It was just mad crazy. Yeah. So then after Planet Asia comes off, Onyx closes. It's like 3 a.m. by this time. The fucking place is packed. Just everyone's drunk. So Onyx is performing. And then all of a sudden, Redman, EPMD, fucking Smith and Wesson, Buckshot, Afro, everybody, all the headliners were racked there. And it's literally just us. And then everybody, like all of us, like get on stage. And like, I didn't want to be like, I know like most of these cats don't know who I am, even though like we're all kicking it and I'm chopping it up with them. Right. So I was like, nah, I'm not trying to hop on stage and be like, like a groupie or anything. But like, I think it was Bucks. No. It was still grabbed me because I was chopping it up with him. He grabbed me and brought me on stage. And then I'm like literally standing between Parrish from EPMD and Planet Asia smoking a blunt. Fucking one of the dudes is standing on the turntables going crazy. And like everybody just, all the American artists are just on there rocking out, And it was like that experience right there, like nothing could really top that, Right, yeah. That has to be like the one in the books right now that really stood out to me.
So you had an okay time.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like that goes, I would say that was more of like the being the fan artist, story. Yeah. But like,
I feel you.
I out of all the experiences that I've had, like festival wise, I would think like that one really kind of topped it off.
Let's go back real fast to this green room situation. A lot of people would do what they could to get in with the big artists or do whatever, but in my opinion, you had the best seat in the house, being with all these artists from all over Europe, people that you rarely, if ever, get to communicate with, especially face to face, and you have the opportunity to network with them. Did that night, that green room that you shared with all those artists, how did that affect this tour that you're about to go on? Did that turn into any dates and things like that?
You know what, man? At the end of the day, artists are artists. You know what I mean? Like all of us got our own thing going on. We meet so many people every day. You know what I mean? It's real hard to keep in touch. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I hit up all these people, a couple weeks after hip hop camp and was like, yo, cool meeting you. Whenever you're in LA or whatever, hit me up, and vice versa, But yeah, I honestly didn't even holler at any of them for dates or anything, letting them know. Like, I'll probably holler at them once I'm in town and just try and kick it with them then. Yeah, but I mean, as far as I was supposed to do some dates with Planet Asia, being that we had met out there. Then we did a show together at A3C. And we rocked together in Sacramento. It was kind of like, okay, we found out we were both going to be out there and we were going to do some dates together, but it didn't work out.
Right.
But other than that, like I said, artists are going to be artists. Like I was just joking with my girl about this the other day. I was like going through my phone, and like my daughter's going through my phone, and I'm like, yo, you might accidentally call Asher Roth, or you might accidentally call like or Burrs, somebody that's someone in my phone. You know what I mean? And then it's kind of like, I'm just gonna throw this out there because like I met Asheroth at Hip Hop Camp, we chopped it up, and I was kind of joking like, yo, what do I text Asheroth, or what do I hit this dude up about? Like, well, what can I do for this dude? You know what I mean? Like,
you kind of got no reason.
And I don't want to be the dude with my hand out. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just like, I'm gonna prank call this dude or something.
Well, let me ask you this: in your high school yearbook, you get all these people leaving your numbers talking about call me, keep in touch, KIT, and who do you really ever call? But on the flip side, there are people who call every one of those numbers. And whatever the outcome is, I don't think that's the most relevant thing. I think it's figure it out, and if they're that type of person, then it's going to work out. If they're not that type of person, it's going to be what it is. Any bad situation, I don't think is really going to be anything big at all. So my advice is just, if you have the opportunity to call these cats, figure out one way or another. Shit, I'll fly out to one of their shows, be like, yo, what up? I'm in town, man. I'm gonna catch a show, maybe grab some food before or something like that, and kind of just test the water a little bit. But yeah, I hear what you're saying as far as the
yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, I definitely, like I said, fresh out after the festival, like I hit all these dudes up, and like the people that I really felt that like, okay, this dude's like really trying to fuck with me, like this dude, yeah, those people, like I don't mind hitting up, like someone like Blue and like Sky Zoo, like being that I had recently built a relationship with them, did a song with them, did a video with them, the connection is there, and like I fuck with these dudes, like we're constantly in contact. So both of them dudes are actually in Europe at the same time as me. So once I found that out, again, like I just hit up Blue directly, and I hit up Sky directly, like, yo, send me your tour dates. Maybe we can do some dates together. Send me, let's see if we can link up out there or whatever, just to have a drink, And it was, 100% love. I didn't feel like I was overstepping a boundary, whereas some of the people on my phone, like I wouldn't even feel comfortable texting them like, what up, or.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. Yeah, that's dope, dude. So you're going to be out there. I think that's going to be tight. I look forward to seeing the aftermath of that, man. Before we get into these questions, dude, I want to talk a little bit about your speaking and hitting panels and most recent speaking at the NAMM convention in Anaheim, dude. Like, how has that affected what you do? Your approach to that, kind of like, did you always want to do that? Did you just fall into it? And then eventually, how'd you get to, speak on an official NAMM panel?
Yeah, I never really seen myself doing that. I kind of like walk in the room and feel like I'm the person that makes the room uncomfortable, just based on how I dress and how I kind of, all the tattoos and stuff like that. So I kind of never really seen myself in a professional setting. But, once I started gaining all this information and like, I'm sure the same reason why you started this podcast. You have all this information you want to share, and you just don't have an outlet to do it, so you have to create one. So I kind of, one of my mentors early on, I was lucky because, I had landed this internship like 5-6 years ago, and I was working at this label, and the head of the label, 2 years, 3 years into my internship, the guy tells me, he's like, hey, I'm going to be starting a music conference. And he's like, I want you to be a part of it. I know you're in the streets, help me with this and I'll help you, I'll give you free tickets, first of all. Obviously, he's like, I'll let you speak on a panel and do all that. So he's basically the one that opened my eyes to the whole music conference thing. And as I started attending these things and helping him with his music conference, I started gaining more knowledge. I got to speak at his conference. And from there, I just kind of like, it's kind of like performing at a show, but just, I don't have to rap. I can just talk to you guys.
Yeah.
And once I started, that door got open. I just, wanted to do as much of it as possible. So I added it to my booking or whatever. And people knew that I was doing that. So they would contact me like, oh, I got this going on. Like, if you want to come to speak, we could set that up. So as I started doing more of it, I kind of just felt like a knack for it. And especially like when I get to go to the colleges or, I got to go to San Diego and speak to a young boys foundation. I can't remember what it's called, but basically for, young boys trying to, that live like in the hood or whatever, trying to, get out of all that and stuff like that.
Right.
I got into that, and that really made me feel like, okay, these kids relate to me because they come from where I come from. They look like how I look like. So that's when I was like, okay, I really got a passion for it. And now I love speaking to, at-risk youth and stuff like that because they can relate to me. And I feel a lot of the times I remember being at those groups, being the kid in those groups, looking at the guys coming in, speaking, and not being able to relate to them, knowing these guys are like, they didn't grow up like we grew up, you know what I mean? So I like being the guy that can relate to the kids. So that's, really opened my passion for all that.
That's dope. Yeah, I feel that for sure. I think speaking on different platforms to different groups, especially when it comes to something like that, where you could make an impact on, essentially you're making an impact at your past self, right? Because I've been fortunately for me, I've been great, man. I've been very fortunate to my parents and my upbringing and things like that. I mean, where I came from is still in these areas though. And I'm at school from elementary to junior high to whatever, and people come and speak and they're like some big successful dude in a suit and tie. And yeah, that was a different time, but still, I don't need somebody to come all tatted up like you or something like that for me to be like, oh, this food's not a square. Like, nah, but I could see even before I knew what a square was as a kid, I knew that this food, is talking about things that's not necessarily in his wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying? So like when you go there and you're just like being genuine with them, just talking to them, and you're not trying to prove yourself, I think it leaves people really open to just take it in or whatever. But let me jump back real fast. So what do you think are some like conventions or music related conferences that artists should try to go to, at least once a year? I mean, well, obviously they come once a year, but like one of these conferences, and kind of like what their approach should be. Just kind of keep it general.
For hip hop artists.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, for hip hop artists, I feel like A3C is a mandatory. Like you gotta go there, at least experience it, and get your own ideas from it. But I love that A3C is specifically hip hop. Like a lot of the conferences are overall music in general, you know what I mean? And a lot of those conferences, hip hop is kind of like the people everyone looks down on.
Pretty much
for whatever reason, but that kind of is how this society is. But that's a whole other conversation. But
so far, at least, yeah.
At A3C, it's all hip hop. So every panel you go to is a hip hop. The people, the key panelists, hip hop, the festival, everything. It's just a dope experience. So for hip hop artists, I would definitely recommend booking that ATL ticket in October. If you live in LA, the ASCAP Expo, I don't know if you're registered as an ASCAP or BMI, whoever you are. Okay, yeah. So, you get a discount. I recommend, get all these things early because the day of, they get very, very expensive. So I had some good experiences at the ASCAP Expo. You just got to be, at all these conferences, you just got to be willing to shake hands, meet people. You're going to meet people. You're going to meet managers. You're going to meet singers. You're going to meet anybody you can imagine in the industry. They're going to be there. So, these people are all on similar paths, and you just got to figure out how you can help each other out. Another one is, what's the one in San Diego? Is it the Urban Network?
Yeah, Urban Digital Network. That one's going to be in LA this year, actually.
Oh, cool. You know what? I wasn't able to go last year, but I think I went the year before. And again, that was specifically for hip hop too.
Yeah.
And I had a great experience there. There was some technical difficulties, but the people that I got to meet there really helped out, especially being on the West Coast and opening that San Diego door. I got to meet a lot of DJs, a lot of agents. Again, it's all hip hop, but on the West Coast, I would definitely recommend that one also.
Yeah, that's where I'd say just go in there and expecting to learn some new things. But I would say I've only been to a couple, and so far the bulk of the information I'm already kind of privy to. But the meeting people, the networking, the showing your face, all those things are important to your social currency in the game that you're playing. But also, man, I mean, that's how you help. That's how you build bridges with people, trading shows or trading opportunities or connecting people. Even if you don't, I've been able to, I don't always produce the product that other artists or other, colleagues of mine need, but I've been able to bridge the gap by connecting you with this person. Somebody needs a show in San Diego. Well, I'm not throwing one I could put you on, but here are some promoters that are my homies, and you want to do some radio shows. Well, here are some dudes, and I could connect you. A lot of times you're finding a lot of opportunities there. So I urge y'all to go there and have your high hopes, but just be ready to work, man, because that's what you're going for. Don't be up in
I'd be at the conferences like a mad, student. I'll be with my notepad, with my pen, taking notes, taking pictures of all the PowerPoints, all that stuff. And you could, like Kahleagues was saying, you can meet some very important people. I actually met at the IES conference that I'm a part of. I actually met the dude that ended up signing me to a publishing deal at that conference just because I got his business card at that conference, sent him an email a couple weeks later, a couple days later, whatever. He liked my music and, he signed me. And it was seriously that simple.
There it is, man. There it is. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. We're going to go to a break and we'll be right back. Status Escalade Podcast. What's going on? It's your man Kahleagues, and I want to tell you about my sponsor, DeadstockCloset.com. Deadstock Closet specializes in vintage gear and accessories of all styles and brands. Shop at DeadstockCloset.com and receive your purchase hand-cleaned, ironed, and ready to wear. Use the coupon code SEPodcast at checkout and get 10% off your purchase, plus an additional discount on your next one. DeadstockCloset.com. Vintage flyness straight to your doorstep. And for any artist looking to gain exposure, check out StatusEscalade.com. Status Escalade is a PR company who's spreading the word on new up-and-coming hip-hop artists for years. Go to the contact section at StatusEscalade.com to discuss a package and rates. Let them know you heard about them through our podcast and get 50% off your first project. And that's at StatusEscalade.com. And lastly, don't forget to check out 2Mex Hologram Radio at 2mexhologram.com. The 24-hour hip-hop radio channel with shows like Proof of Life Radio, The Friday Up, and more. Fresh and rare hip-hop 24 hours a day. Available on TuneIn Radio or stream it directly from 2mexhologram.com. 2Mex Hologram Radio. Everything is about to change. Now let's get back to the show.
I put in work and watch my status escalate.
Status Escalade, we back. It's my man 60 East, chopping up game, dropping jewels and bars on y'all. How's it going, brother?
Good, man. Getting ready for this game.
Yeah. So we're doing this day of the Super Bowl. That's where this recording is taking place. So I'm waiting for the pregame show to see if one of these songs that we submitted got picked up. A lot of times they hit you up like, yo, we're going to use this for this opportunity that we spoke on. Sometimes you get a text from a homie being like, yo, that's dope. You got a song played on this. And I'm like, played on what? I'm like looking for the channel. You know what I mean? A situation like today, literally ain't going to find out until, the show comes on, and I may or may not be listening to myself on Fox, pregame show. So we'll see. I'm hyped. But anyways.
That's big, man. That's big. That's big. Congratulations.
Great, man. Well, we'll see. But thanks. So let's get into these questions, man. As always, I got these questions that we ask all of my guests, and the whole point is you're a brother who stays on the grind, successful dude. You got things going on in your life. A lot of times people are just like, oh no, just way too passive in their approach. They say they want to be a part of, whatever business, but they're not even trying to take the steps, whether they're insecure, scared, intimidated, whatever. They need to understand bravery is about being scared. It's not about not being scared of stuff. It's about overcoming your fear and doing it anyways. So a lot of times these questions, I think allow people to understand like, oh, okay, like this dude does it and we have some of the same, or you're, got your hands in so many things, you're busy and all of these, but you're able to do this. Why can't I type of thing? So that's kind of how these are formatted. And I guess we'll just jump into them. So what do you have like a daily routine that kind of gets your life going?
I try and plan out my days being a, entrepreneur full time. A lot of the time having so much free time is bad because, a lot of people have trouble filling that. So you got to literally fill in the hours. So I forgot where I heard this from, but, a lot of people say plan your day the night before.
Yeah.
So usually the night before I go to sleep, I'll write a list of tasks that I need to get done the next day and the things that need to be done. So that'll be my point of focus throughout the day on top of my daily routines like working out and stuff like that.
And you could just knock those off the checklist. Like I have a whiteboard.
Yeah, I literally I have the notes app or whatever on the phone. I'll just put in what I need to get done, and once I get to the office, I'll open up my notes and just start going through them.
Yeah, and I use I learned this from, I mean, there's a lot of apps out there. I use Wunderlist, and basically I put the stuff in there, and if I don't take care of it and days have passed or whatever, like I have a daily list, I have like a weekly, monthly, whatever my goals are, the things I need to take care of, and it'll shoot you a text if you wanted to, it'll shoot you an email to remind you one way or another. So yeah, I fuck with that. Anything else?
On top of that too, I also have a breakdown of days. Like Monday is maintenance Monday. So anything I need to get done, like if I need to get an oil change, I need to go to the DMV, whatever, maintenance, clean the house, fix this around the house, whatever, that gets done on Monday. Tuesday is usually my PR day, is the day that I focus on all the publicist side of stuff. Wednesday is usually my writer day, color writer Wednesday. That's the day I focus on writing on my projects, blah, blah, blah. Thursday is, I think, booking day, is the day I follow up with everybody, the day that I focus on tour management, show management, stuff like that. And Friday, I have breakdowns for every single day, but that really helps focusing on certain aspects of all the things you need to do.
Now, what happens if you're it's maintenance Monday and you're getting calls about a booking that you hit them up about the Thursday before? How do you go about that?
Another thing I learned to do about this is what am I reading right now? Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. They say procrastination. Procrastination is the enemy. You need to deal with it. Be able to be what's the fucking phrase they use? It'll come to me later, but it says, as soon as you get a message about something important, to decide right then and there, not to sit on it because it's going to keep sitting on there. So I've decided, whenever I get a message about something, to respond to it as fast as possible.
Right.
So I don't mind, sidetracking real quick to respond to emails or whatever, because emails to me are like key important. Like I got to be on top of that at all times.
Another thing I would say to that point is, if you don't think that you can complete that task or even like have the time to attend to it, I would say you might want to leave that unread until the time comes, because hopefully the subject line tells you exactly what it's about, this email or whatever it is. But a lot of times you open that email and you're like, I'll get to it later. Well, now it's open and now it's lost. And if you're like me, you got a billion emails that all look very similar. You know what I mean? So you might forget it. So yeah. I'll definitely stay on top.
Yeah, I have OCD, man. So I'm very organized. I'm very, all my emails probably have less than 10 unread emails. I keep my shit clean. Wow. I have to keep my shit completely organized or I'll go crazy.
Nice. I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah, I don't know. My desktop is nice and neat. Like every little thing has to be like where I need it to be.
My desktop is neat also. I got a folder that says sort, and it's got like 100 icons in there. One of the folders in the sort folder says sort, and it's got like 100 icons in there, and there's this folder in there that says sort. So yeah, I only got a couple icons on my desktop. Do you have any life hacks?
Life hack.
Could be anything, because you have honestly, the way you set your week is a pretty good life hack to begin with, but just anything else. It could be small, but it's things that save you time and help you be more productive and effective in the things that you're doing.
I don't. I would just say I have some go-to websites that help me out for whatever I need. You know what I mean?
Like what are those? I
would just say I would recommend to anybody that whatever task that you need to get done, look up the app or look up a website, because it's 2017. You know what I mean? There's probably an app out there that can do what you need to get done faster than you can. I have tons of email lists that I need organized, and I used to have to go through those and edit this, alphabetize them, all that, and then there's tons of websites out there that'll go through them, take out the doubles, add commas, correct punctuation, stuff like that.
Right. Word. What are some daily obstacles that you go through, and just how do you overcome them? Or even not even just the obstacle, but I know you have a daughter, so you have something that's more important than all the things that you're doing, but at the same time, the things that you're doing contribute to having a daughter, right? So how do you do that, maintain that relationship, the father-daughter thing, and still maintain your music career and every other thing that you're trying to get your hands in?
Man, again, I was watching this documentary recently about a woman that was giving a lot of advice about, being organized and stuff like that and being an entrepreneur. And one of the things that she said that really stuck out to me was having that separation of business and being a human, being normal. Because a lot of the time, entrepreneurs are working around the clock, working 24 hours a day, answering emails at 9 p.m., sending emails on Saturdays and Sundays, well as the normal person, has their 9 to 5 schedule. If they're not in the office at 9 to 5, you got to wait till the next day to call them. And she said basically to apply that to yourself because you'll lose that human side of you. You lose the relationships with people and all that stuff like that. And I did that for a long time. Like I would just literally work all day, every day, all night, everything, and just stay away from everybody. But I realized, I need to be human, and the human experience and all that energy adds to the creativity of the music and the business and all that stuff. So, I have my office hours, even though I don't have, a regular gig like that, but I'll work on business from 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever like that. That'll be my work schedule. And once I'm out of the office, then I focus on everything else, focus on family, focus on the regular side of things.
That's important, man. That's good shit. You're I could tell that you're a very organized person. That's the thing that keeps coming up, and it seems to be your key to success. That's dope.
I also don't like bugging people, you know what I mean? And like I caught myself earlier trying to send like a business email, like it's Super Bowl Sunday, like I had to tell myself, like, bro, just wait till tomorrow,
there are apps, but then the other thing is, like, sometimes you just don't give a fuck enough about, let's say, Super Bowl to not get this shit together, or you're just in the moment, you're like, oh, I need to do this right now. There are apps out there, I forget the name, I heard it on one of this recent EO Fire episodes where you do it and then you click this thing and you can have it, like, say if you use Chrome or Gmail, it'll be right next to the send button, and it could be like, send it in 2 days, send it in X amount of time.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And so that you don't have to, because a lot of times if you don't do it right, then who knows when you're going to do it next. You're just in the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Knock that shit out. But you're right, don't send it now, because not only might it may or may not be bad when they receive it, like, come on, man, it's Super Bowl, I'm not even gonna read this. Or it's just like, it's not the right time. It might get lost in the shuffle, whatever it is, man. So I agree with that one. That's a good one. Can you give me a example of a success turned failure, or a failure turned success? Like something, it seemed like it was working this way at first, and then it turned out to be the complete opposite in the end.
I would say social media followers.
Tell me more.
Okay, so I had a roommate, man, and this dude was I call him a fucking what do they call him, a culture vulture, because this dude was like, yeah, and he's my very good friend, one of my best friends coming up, but this dude is just a hustler. All he's ever cared about since I've known him was making money.
Right.
Every day, we would wake up, he, like I said, he was my roommate. We'd make up, and this dude's just like, all right, how are we going to make money today? How are we going to make money today? Okay, so he would manage artists or whatever like that, and whatever you want to call it. But he got into like, hustling artists, and, for blob, he would, put artists on blogs and get artists fake followers and stuff like that.
Right.
So this guy, he would help me with my management, just somewhat, he would help, send a couple emails and introduce me to people. But he would, not telling me, he would throw me some fake followers here and there. And I would have like, I always ask, like, I would wonder, like, why did I just get like a couple 100 followers like out of nowhere? And it, a lot of people told me that sometimes that shit happen, they'll get spam bots or whatever. So I figured that was happening to me.
Right.
And then this dude ended up telling me, like, a couple months down the line, he's like, hey, man, I've been shooting you Instagram followers. And I was like, oh, dude, like, that's what that was.
You thought you was getting it. You're like, oh, man, this is working
no, because, well, see, because at the same time, though, I have a formula for getting organic followers, you know what I mean? Like, I was really
what's that formula?
Networking with people. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's basically targeting potential followers. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's anybody that knows marketing and advertising and stuff like that. That's getting it to all that. But anyway, this dude was getting me fake followers. Bottom line, he was getting me fake Instagram followers, and Instagram's algorithm changed. Whereas, I mean, I think it might have always been the same, but they made a big change. Whereas they're only showing your post to a certain amount of your followers.
Yeah.
And if you have, a couple fucking couple thousand fake followers, then you're not, they're going to be showing that to half fake followers, half real followers. So I saw my numbers and traffic start decreasing because of that. So I got fucking bent, you know what I mean? So I started finding apps and finding ways to go through my list and delete all the fake followers. So I would say that was just the overall failure, maybe. It was like, you know what I mean? Because like I was getting those fake followers, and I guess this is more advice for people that believe in fake followers and that have 10 million followers and only get like 100 likes. Like people see right through that shit. And so I started realizing that the more followers I was getting, the less likes I was getting, and I was like, yo, why is this happening? And then I figured out that algorithm, and then he had told me that he was getting me fake followers. So then I had to go and erase all of those people just to start getting, reach back to my organic followers.
Right.
And to this day, I'm still struggling with that because I only have a certain time of the day, and I don't have all day to go through my Instagram and fucking block all these fake accounts. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would say make sure don't buy fucking followers on, and that applies for Twitter and Facebook too, for the people that do that shit.
Yo, the fake follower, like numbers do mean stuff, right? But it's not just you look at it. Oh, this dude has 100,000 followers, like you said. They're, not everybody's gonna notice, but people are gonna see that you have so many followers, but your activity is so low. If you're paying for fake followers, just make sure that it's worth your time. I would discourage you to do that in general. But if you do that, just keep in mind that there's more to it than just having a big number right there. You know what I mean? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was super bent, man, because like he got me like a couple, like it was maybe like 3 or 4 thousand fake followers, and I was doing good. Like I had like
thought you were doing
6.
good.
No, check this out. Like I had 6 or 7 thousand organic followers, like before he even started doing anything, and I was getting 500 plus likes per post. And then as I seen the traffic pick up like super, and then get those 4,000 followers came in, then my shit split in half. So that really really hurt.
Yeah.
And like I said, to this day, I'm still trying to fucking erase all those fucking spam accounts.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's funny. How do you ensure execution of an idea or a task?
I have a board that I keep in front of my desk, in front of my workspace. I have a board, and I keep the important task on that board, so they're always in front of me, so they never leave my mind.
Yeah.
So as I'm doing whatever task during the day, those things are always on my mind. Those things, basically everything I'm doing throughout the day, are to fulfill the things that are on the board. They're all just, aspects of the bigger picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing I learned from one of my friends is you have to have your goals in front of you. You have to have them in front of you at all times. You have to be visualizing them. You got to be seeing them at all times. Always have them on your head.
Yeah, I'll say it like this, because there's a lot of people who think that's silly or just don't think it's that important. But I'll say it like this for anybody, or let's say Obey. When I first realized what Obey was years and years ago, the Giants Got a Posse, things like that. Once I seen his style, I realized that it was everywhere in my whole life. I've been seeing it for so long, but it was like camouflaged. And once it became like in my head, like in the forefront of my mind, like, oh, that's dope. We would be peeling these stickers off of signs or whatever and carrying them with us, or putting them. My homie had a whole door covered in Giant stickers, Obey stickers, and you couldn't buy Obey stickers. He hadn't done the Obama Hope thing yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that easy. But once you realize it, you start thinking that way. You start thinking in a way where it's like the problem solving way. If you're doing puzzles or crossword puzzles or Sudoku or whatever you call it, you think in a way to where you can overcome that obstacle where you complete that task. And if you have it in front of your face all times, you're just going to naturally think, how do I complete this task? You know what I mean? And I think it's not always easy, but it's not the most complicated thing in the world to be like, this is the task I got to do, and your mind is always thinking about how to do it. I think that's super important, and people don't realize it enough.
Yeah, the subconscious mind is a lot more powerful than the conscious mind.
Real talk. What do you have any rules before deciding to partner with somebody, collaborate with somebody, work with somebody in a way? Not necessarily doing a song, just in general.
Don't sleep with them.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't ever got to worry about that, but a lot of these, especially dudes, it's like, oh, there's a lot of females in the game these days, and just dudes forget their priorities, man.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm getting at about that. And I would say be professional and check out their business. Don't just believe everything they say. Make sure they check out their online presence. Check out people that have worked with them, what they have to say about them, and make your own opinion. Make your own opinion about them if it doesn't seem like something that works with your brand. Because you got to remember, everybody that you involve with in your business is now going to be representing your business.
Yeah,
you got to always remember your core values of your brand.
Yeah, there's a paper trail for sure. You get so many people hitting you up on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And for instance, recently, I'm not going to say his name because I don't remember it, but he hits me up. He's a PR guy and he wants to work with me. But a lot of times they have this attitude that you feel even through text. It's like, okay, you're amazing. I get it. So how come I can't Google? Because as soon as I see somebody asking me something, I look at their page and I go from there. If you're a business of some sort, I'm going to Google you. I'm going to see what I can find about you. I couldn't find anything about this guy except his IG page to which he was hollering at me from. But yet he's going to get me all these great opportunities and all these things. And I'm just looking at the way he's speaking and his terrible grammar, not just misspelling, just the way, and the jewels, quote unquote jewels that he drops daily on Facebook. And I'm just like, really, dude? Like, you're not even saying anything, dude. You're saying the obvious. So my point is, like, what I did see on there were people that he reposted an opportunity. Here's, so-and-so big booty, big breasted chick that I got on this, blog website. That's what I could do for you. I'm like, oh, okay. So you got a raunchy girl on a raunchy website? Nice. Like, show me that you could do something that anybody else, including myself, can't do for me. You know what I mean? And then on the flip side, when I look at that girl, I'm like, okay, well, she paid this guy to do that. Like, now you're devalued even more than you putting yourself out there like that did. But my point is, like you said, man, there's a paper trail. So if I see somebody that's unprofessional or somebody I wouldn't want to work with, and then I see that you as an artist have worked with this person, it doesn't mean I'm not going to work with you, but it affects the way I look at you, especially if that's my first impression of you. So I agree. Definitely be careful. This one, I want you to give me a book, movie, or article suggestion. But since you talked about a book that got you into podcasting, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, definitely, man. The book is called The Happiness of Pursuit. I can't say the dude's last name, but his name is Chris.
We'll get that in the show links for sure.
Yeah, the subtitle of the book is Finding the Quest That Will Bring Purpose to Your Life. And, I read this book, and the guy who wrote it, his goal was to travel to every country in the world before the age of 35. And the whole book is talking about his journey and being on the journey, the people that he met on different journeys along the way. And that's what inspired my podcast because, being on the road constantly, I'm constantly meeting new people that are on the road for their own reason, their own journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really clicked from the jump. It clicked. And as I was reading the book, he talks about traveling to different countries and meeting people that are on spiritual journeys, just, people that were working regular jobs, chasing a career that was paying the bills, but that didn't fulfill them. And so they, a lot of people quit their jobs and just started pursuing their passion. And that's basically what the whole book is about. And after reading that book, it really changed my life, man. It really changed my outlook on everything and soul searching and really pursuing your passion. And it says it all in the title, the happiness of pursuit. A lot of the times it's not the goal or it's not the end result of, the journey that fulfills you, that makes you happy. It's the journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you can't enjoy the journey, what's the fruits of your labor worth anyways?
So yeah, I wouldn't say it's not so much a technical book as far as, giving people advice on how to, be organized and stuff like that. It's more of helping someone find their passion. Yeah, exactly. Something that'll really make you, think more.
I mean, I don't want to devalue this this podcast or yours either, but it's like we can learn these things every day. We're like Voltron. We have the opportunity to learn from people and absorb their culture, absorb their soul, their vibe, their knowledge. On the daily. That's why you go and live life, then come back and create art. Without living life, you ain't creating anything. You already did that already. You know what I mean? And I feel like you really have the opportunity to become great just by meeting different people on their paths and taking some of, or receiving some of what they're giving and giving something to them, giving a piece of you to them. And, and if it's something bad, you just let that shit roll off you like a whack punch, to Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I think those are the important things in life that people don't get. Sometimes we're in our head so much. We got so much on our plate. And like you said, we don't have our hours. I don't have my hours set the way you do. So I'm letting it roll over into the time I should be spending with my fam, or I'm at a point right now where I have so much on my plate that I'm like, Rick's like, yo, come and rock this show. Rick Scales like doing a show with Tumex. Come and rock the show with me. I'm like, man, dude, I got something early in the morning tomorrow. I need to knock these things out. But I gotta get this done right now. But I need to figure out when to jump back in there. If it keeps staying busy like this for too much longer, I got to figure out something different, because I'm missing out on the family stuff. I'm missing out on, the shows, or just going out and, enjoying the shows where I'm not necessarily there to work, all those things, man. So I think all those things are important for sure.
Yeah. And November through February, man, artists go crazy because this is the downtime for the music industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, man, that shit don't even affect me, man, because I'm not in that. Even though I'm in the music business, I'm not in that world like that, man. And I'm just, I guess it's a good point, and I'm aware of it. So I kind of look at it like, when they're asleep, I'm creating as much as I can. So when they come back to work, they're like, oh, this fool's been active while I'm gone. I don't even know who this guy is. All of a sudden, he's doing all these things, So
yep.
I used to hear shit like that, and for me, it's not as important that it may be in a couple years for me, or even at the end of the year, or ever possibly. But that's, to me, that's just an opportunity to get in where you fit in, man, when these motherfuckers ain't paying attention. But
got to.
We rounding out to the end, man. This is the last question that apparently I forgot to ask the last two guests. Can you give the people some words to live by?
Wayne Gretzky said it. He said, "You're gonna miss every shot you don't take."
Simple as
and that. Since the day I heard that, my whole formula, my whole mind state changed, man. Like, fail fast, fail often.
Yeah, real talk, man. Y'all can't be scared. I teach my son every day to not be afraid of failure, to embrace the failure and embrace every piece of that failure to build a better puzzle for the next attempt, man. I fuck with that. Another thing I'll say, man, these cliche things are real. They are cliche, and sometimes they sound, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah, it's corny as fuck, but it's real shit, man. Like, when in doubt, think of a corny cliche saying and probably live your life by it and be successful, man, for real, dude. So we'll wrap that up on that note. Why don't you plug yourself? Tell the people, give an idea of your dates for any of our Europe listeners, and just what you got coming out. Any new music, new videos, just your show, everything, man.
Yeah, I don't have my tour dates in front of me, but I'm going to be in Europe February 10th till March 5th. I'll be in the Netherlands, France, Spain, and Germany, and Poland, actually, just got added. Make sure to check out my podcast, Life on the Road with 60 East, via platformcollection.com.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out my website, 60east.net, SIXTY East.net. I'll be dropping a music video for a single called Almost There off my upcoming project, the Freeway Series Part 2. We filmed that completely in Europe and at the Hip Hop Camp Festival, so there'll be a lot of footage from the festival in the video.
Oh.
And yeah, make sure to holler at me, info@60east.net if you guys got any questions. And yeah, much love to Kahleagues for the invite to the show.
You too, brother. All day, man. All day. I'm glad this worked out. We're able to knock it out in a good time. I've been trying to get the show down to 60 minutes. It started out about an hour 45. I think we about an hour 5, dude. So I'm happy with that, working my way. But dude, thanks for coming on. It was a good talk. Everything. I'm sure a lot of people got some bars and some jewels out of this. They could apply to their own life, whatever that is, man. So good looking out. It's my man 60 East. Definitely check him out. You can see everything in the show notes, man. But we out. This is Status Escalade Podcast. Peace to the Kahleagues. Thanks for tuning in to another great episode with my guest 60 East. Please check him out and show your support if you dig what he's doing. Check out the show notes at 310music.net by typing in SEP012 in the search box in the top right. That's where you're going to find all the links to my guest, as well as any relevant links or info regarding what we discussed, plus my brother 60's top 3. Be sure to visit platformcollection.com for other great shows on the network, like my man 60's show, Life on the Road with 60 East. Also, the 2Mex Hologram podcast, Really Though, Crappy Awesome, Orchestrated, and of course, my other show, Proof of Life Radio, plus more, man, all on the Platform Collection network. Also, don't forget to check out 2Mex Hologram Radio at 2mexhologram.com. That's the 24-hour hip-hop radio channel with shows like Proof of Life Radio, Stereotypes, LA to the Bay, The Up, and more. Fresh and rare hip-hop 24 hours a day, available on TuneIn Radio or stream it directly to 2mexhologram.com. 2Mex Hologram Radio. Everything's about to change. Big thanks to my sponsors, Dead-Stock-Closet.com. Dead-Stock-Closet specializes in vintage gear and accessories of all styles and brands. When you shop at Dead-Stock-Closet.com, you're going to receive your items ironed, cleaned, and ready to wear. No cigarette smell or pet hairs, just straight professional business with my folks over there. Man, use coupon code SE Podcast at checkout to get 10% off your purchase, plus you're going to get an additional discount on your next one. That's at Dead-Stock-Closet.com. Vintage flyness straight to your doorstep. Also, last but not least, thanks to StatusEscalade.com. Status Escalade is a PR company whose purpose is to create awareness for you as an artist and expand your brand. Status Escalade's been spreading the word on new up-and-coming hip-hop artists for years with a strong focus on hip-hop. Go to the contact section at StatusEscalade.com to discuss a package and rates. Let them know you heard about them through us and our podcast, and you get 50% off your first project. That's at StatusEscalade.com. I think that's about it, man. Shout out to everybody showing love. I really appreciate you continuing to share the episodes, leave comments, ratings, and reviews. Hit me up, everything at Kahleagues310. Make sure you're checking out Bars Weekly. That's barsweekly.com. You can see what we got going on every week. Me and my man Muds One. Proof of Life Radio every other Wednesday for that dope hip-hop. Man, and I guess that's about it, dude. I'll be back in 2 weeks with a new guest and more jewels for y'all. But until then, remember, you can plan for success, but you can't reach it without execution. Peace to the Kahleagues.
I put in work and watch my status escalate.
For the qualified pro in this business of rap. Qualified pro in this business of rap.
Brought to you by PlatformCollection.com.